The Commissioners meeting for Tuesday, January 8th, 2019 to order. And for the record, we have a quorum present, but however, Don Van Meter called me this morning at 7 a.m. He said that he's sicker than a dog and is not going to be able to be here today. So I'll address that a little further on the agenda, how it might impact certain items here. So. But we still have a quorum, so we'll proceed. If you join me with the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to all, and especially a special welcome to our new commissioners, and wish them well, and Happy New Year to all of you, and it should be an interesting year. So the first order of business is the approval of the agenda. Entertain a motion to approve the agenda. Oh, there is one modification, excuse me. Under tab I, that's been removed and will be on the next meeting's agenda. So with that modification, I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda as modified.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner,
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with the adjustment removing tab I.
we have a motion. We have a second.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next on the agenda is the election of a chairman. As you may or may not know, I was asked by the prior commission to act as chairman for this meeting until this item could be resolved. Without Dawn here, I think it's a significant item that Dawn should have the opportunity to voice his opinion. He voiced his opinion to me, but obviously he's got to be here to vote. And I'll share that opinion. Don wanted me to tell my co-commissioners that he strongly supports me as continuing as chairman. But he's not here to vote, so there's two options. We can either proceed or we can wait till Don is here. What's your thoughts, commissioners?
Commissioner Johnson, I think my opinion is that I think we should consider a tabling, and I think all five of us should be present to make a consideration of who the chair should be, because that will be representing our team, and I think it's a decision all five of us should make.
I think that's a good suggestion. Is there a second to that tabling motion?
I'll second it.
We have a motion to table until the next meeting when all commissioners are present. Seconded by Commissioner Wendling, motion by Commissioner Lloyd. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. I assume, Mr. Lloyd, you assume that I will continue with this meeting?
Yes.
I didn't make that motion. That could be the quickest meeting of all time.
We'll proceed. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes for December 18th, 2018. Have you had a chance to review those, and what is your pleasure, commissioners? Commissioner Wendling, I guess you're the only one that...
How's it going? Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes dated December 18th, 2018.
And I'll second that motion. Is there any problem with that, Jonathan, since these two gentlemen were not in place with that? Because obviously they're going to have to vote on this to approve them.
Chairman, as we discussed before, with the chair seconding the motion, I just ask that the chair consider that it's okay to second the motion. It is good practice, but it is not a common procedure. But and it is also identified that when the chair does make a second, that he could remove himself from the chair for that particular issue. So none of these are definitive rules. They're all considerations, and they're things for the chair to consider those different procedures. And so I would just ask you to consider those different options. And as took place when we came across it before, and there was a second, the chair was going to make, when we first came across this issue, I think that you decided to make the second, so another person decided to make the second, another commissioner, rather than the chairman having to make that. So those are different options for you and the commissioners to consider.
Commissioner Johnson, I don't mind. I was here present for the meeting, I did the minutes, so I don't mind seconding the motion.
Okay. Is that, Jonathan, acceptable? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next on the agenda is the approval of the county vouchers, warrants, approval of the bonds, approval of the abates, rebates. Have you had a chance to review those, commissioners, and what's your pleasure?
Question. Got to make a motion first to have a discussion, right?
Yeah.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the bills.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Lloyd, motion by Commissioner Wendling. Discussion?
Yeah. When the bonds came out, I noticed there was some missing. Have we got that all squared away? Okay, thank you.
Any other items? Questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next, we have the commissioner comments and reports. Commissioner Van Meter was supposed to be in first. He's not here, so obviously I'll be second. I'd like, first of all, to welcome my co-commissioners and Cindy. I think that we're in for some significant change in the county, and I think we've elected great people, and hopefully we are headed in a good direction, continuing of a good direction. And if there's anything I can do, Cindy and my co-commissioners, to help you with your positions, I'd be happy to do that. Next, I have Chuck's report. Chuck's still absent, AWOL. District Court, all offices will be complete and ready for occupancy this week. The carpet was installed the last week of December. Justice Center, the 11-month warranty review with the architect will be scheduled for the first week in February. And that's all Chuck has to say. And then I attended the federal agency meeting on the 2nd of January, and as you know, there's a little bit of problem in Washington, D.C. with funding, and as a result of that, none of the federal agency people were there. So we ended up having coffee and go home. So next I have, and this is a question for the new commissioners. We need Commissioner West to continue with the 6-cent responsibility that he's had before. And he was first going to give me, he gave me a file on it, told me what I had to do. We'd been in a world of hurt. Because he's been carrying a big load with that, and he's willing to continue to serve in doing that, to do that. If we would, and we, the prior commission, have made motion to do that. So I just want to make sure that the new commissioners, that there's no problem with that. He's willing and able, and obviously. It'll run somewhere through April probably for him to do that. You don't have to be a commissioner to fill that function. He's willing to do that if we provide a computer and other whatever help we might need. Is there any problem?
I feel that's the direction to go.
Okay. Great idea. And that's all I have. Commissioner Wendling.
Thank you. Good morning. I too welcome the new clerk as well as the new commissioners. And as Commissioner Johnson stated, if anybody needs any assistance, we're glad to help out as we move forward. Liaison work was light with the holidays, but I did participate in the Wyoming County Commissioner Association Executive Director interviews, and without mentioning names, because they're going to try to keep it confidential until they make a final selection. The final selection will take place tonight with a conference call at 5:30. I've got that conference number and for the phone conference that I'll forward to you or print it off for you. Get
Please
it to
do
you.
that, yeah.
Yeah, so you can participate in that. Just to share with you, the selection, in my opinion, having part of the interview committee was the best choice for the County Commissioner Association. The outgoing individual salary was $115,000. This one's been adjusted downwards, plus benefits, as well as there was a opportunity for the individual to have their dues at the country club paid for. This individual has requested, rather than that money go in that direction, that it be put in, be used for that individual to work on their master's degree in education. So, as a commission, I think Commissioner Johnson, when you get on the call and that type of thing, I think you'd be rather pleased. So, participate in that. That went well. Also, the other thing that I got an invitation from Cindy Nelson from the hospital to attend their board meeting, so I did have the time yesterday afternoon, so I did go. They went through their board agenda and everything, did their business, and at the end, it was an hour and 42 minutes. They completed their board agenda before they went into executive session. Their chairman indicated it was felt the hospital was running like a smooth 8-cylinder Cadillac. So he said things are going well and they felt good about things, so they set some meeting dates. But they are up for some things if they come through. There was a time, a year and a half, 2 years ago, they had a 2-star rating. They're up for, if it comes through and everything works out, they're up for recommendation for a 4-star rating, which is phenomenal for them and the time they've taken. I just think everybody's pitching in. So that was, I was glad I went. Taylor Jones will be here during commissioner comments, and he will talk to us about the infamous Golden Trophy for Red Tie Gala. I just kind of smiled at him and said, well, I won't commit the commission to anything. You'll have to come and talk to
We
us.
could give it back to him.
That's why I got it close by. All right, and then of course the very last thing I put in front of all of you, or second to last thing I put in front of all of you, the rivers update. And Don Hartley with, he's the chairman of the Joint Water Board, Powers Board, and he still does for the water department an update. So you'll get not only the one that Don does, but I'll give you the one that the enterprise group does through the chamber. But the one in front of you, the significant thing is, I think under California, is it's increasing its take of water from Lake Mead to avoid having it become stranded, which basically means they're just taking it and using it rather than leaving it there to continue to take care of others. And then, of course, their action puts pressure on Arizona to reach an agreement, but also puts all users at a higher risk of call. And, of course, the last paragraph, the Bureau of Reclamation estimates are for a 57% chance of a Colorado River shortage declaration for January of 2020, which is just 11 months away, gentlemen. And the Bureau has set a deadline for January 31st for basin-wide drought contingency planning completion. Upon completion of drought planning, real work of water conservation planning will begin. So those things are strapping along. So anyhow, then the last thing I'll pass down to you is for a year ago I was contacted, and former board, and Commissioner Johnson knows this, that through federal agencies they wanted to start a prescribed fire council for Wyoming, which they never had in place, and I was requested to sit on that design group and work on bylaws and put it together. Well, that came to fruition in December, and the bylaws have finally been finished up. Of course, they're always in draft form for the state of Wyoming, and then, of course, with the signing of the bylaws, Wyoming was recognized as a new member to the National Fire Prescribed Council. So we do have a Fire Prescribed Council. I'll continue to sit on that board for a year, but what I'd like to do is passed on. I made a copy. If anybody wants a personal copy, they let me know. I'll make one for them. But this is the bylaws of the Prescribed Fire Council, its mission, its objectives, and what the makeup of the board will be, and that type of thing. So that'll be there for you, gentlemen. And with that, if there's no questions, that concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Wendling. A couple of comments relative to what you reported for the benefit of the audience. I have not been too supportive of Wyoming County Commissioners Association over the previous couple of years. And the reason being is I think my thoughts were that the prior CEO of the Wyoming County Commissioner Association forgot where Sweetwater County was and is, and the major contribution that we make to the WCCA. But with the change, I think I can only speak for myself. I would intend to get more active with WCCA, and I will make that call. And the reason that call is the way that call has to be handled, and it's one of the problems I had with the prior CEO. The chairman of each county, and primarily the one we're interested in, Sweetwater County, makes up the board of directors for the WCCA, and that fact seemed to have gotten lost in the prior executive committee. The executive committee was calling too many of the shots for the WCCA, in my opinion. I know the primary candidate that's probably going to get this, and I think we're going to be very, very pleased with that. I think that individual, assuming that he gets elected, will do a great job for the state of Wyoming and also Sweetwater County. And the other thing, I was negligent because I didn't know where the chairmanship was going to head. Not that I guess it should have made any difference, but one of the things we decided is that we would look at all of the liaisons and then report back or negotiate those during the coming couple of weeks to see if we can't determine who wants to be the liaison for what responsibilities. So here is the list of the prior assignments for liaisons, and if you look at those, and we should all get together and see if we can't work it out, and by next meeting have a decision as to what the assignment of those liaisons will be. I apologize for forgetting that. Next we have Commissioner Smith.
Not a lot to report. I got sworn in yesterday, and I said all the words right.
Yeah, you did.
Nobody else
did,
said
you
it.
did.
So,
Well, you have 24 hours. You surely could report something.
drive back and forth. It's not true. It's lovely. No, things are good. Thank you to all who've been so welcoming here in the courthouse and elsewhere. And it's been excellent. A lot of people have reached out to help get me set up and off and running. So I'm excited to get going, and I'll have more to report next time I come.
Very good. Thank you. Mr. Lloyd.
Just kind of want to reiterate what Commissioner Smith said. It's an honor to be up here for our first meeting today and to serve Sweetwater County. And I'm excited also for all the help and welcome we've had in the county. We really haven't had any liaison work, but I can report in the last month or so, I have had the chance to meet with Treasurer Slaughter, Assessor Davis, Gary McLean in the HR office, Tim Knight in IT, the Child Development Center, the library, and the county attorney's office in preparation for taking office. So I'm really excited about that. Also, I've also met with the events complex and also the airport and the library. So just kind of trying to get my feet under myself before we started. So, but once again, it's an honor to be here. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lloyd. With that, we'll move on to county resident concerns. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to have the attention of this new commission? You should be concerned, I would think, for the coming year, but and then again, who knows? Are there any county resident? Please
Melanie
identify.
Boback, I live in Jamestown. And we were at your last meeting of Love's truck stop going out around Wagon Wheel and what have you. And I don't know that the residents of Jamestown were notified of this possibly happening. And I know that there are some that are not very happy with it, as far as, one, you know, that you have all those trucks there, what, and all that diesel. We're not on a sewage system out there. We're on septic, okay, on a nice hot day, what's that gonna smell like in that area? I know our water board gave their okay, but I don't know that they're representative of the residents of Jamestown. And I would like to, at your discretion, your leadership, what have you, if we could do something to make this more aware to those people and to get more feedback from them.
Is that, not only the thing, I think there's a little misunderstanding at this point in time. The only action that we took was to change the zone. They have to come, whoever comes back for Love's, if it happens to be Love's, they have to go through a process to get that approved by
Well,
this commission.
I understand there's permitting going on, or they're applying?
Well, it hasn't come to us. It will come to us.
Okay.
It's in P&Z now, and it will come to us.
Okay.
But all that was a zone change.
Okay. Well, I put that before you as a concern.
Well, there were other people in that meeting that had concerns also, and we heard those concerns. They're valid concerns. And they'll be taken under advisement at the appropriate time.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other comments from the residents? Any other county residents' concerns? Hearing none, we'll close that portion of the hearing. Next, under tab D, we have board appointments. First is the Weed and Pest Control District.
Paper designate.
Oh, I missed that. Boy, we got roasted for that one. Under tab C, I really didn't mean to do that.
Those are tests to see if people were paying attention.
You don't do that type of things to people that buy their ink in the barrel. So, historically, what we've done is the first meeting in January, we've assigned a official paper for the Sweetwater County, and we have tried to move that around as best we can. And the prior year, it's been with the Green River Star. They've done a fine job with that. So we're at the position where we need to make a decision as to who will have it for the coming year. Both the Rocket Miner and Green River Star are interested in providing that service to us. So I'd open that up for discussion amongst the commission.
One question, Commissioner Johnson. With our changing world, I know we're required by law to post certain things into public knowledge, which has always traditionally been newspaper. But with our changing world with IT and stuff, it sometimes seems like there's more online institutions or online subscriptions that have that reach a larger number. Is that an option in the designation, or does it have to be in print?
It has to be in print. Legally speaking,
David, you mean David?
oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You surely can, but he's asking the question of our council.
I apologize.
Johnson.
The statutes do specifically identify that there shall be a newspaper. It does specifically identify the word the. So as far as the statutes, the green books are concerned, there is a requirement that there is a newspaper and the newspaper that is designated by the commission. Should the commission look at any other options, that's in the discretion of the commission, but statutorily, the commission should consider that there are statutes that identify the newspaper designated by the commission.
Good. Answer your question.
Yeah, so I guess, so is newspaper in the statutes combined by, defined as a print paper, or does it give electronic content?
No, it's defined as it is.
Any other questions?
Do you
Commissioner Smith.
Thank you. You said previously that this is something we've rotated in the past.
Somewhat.
Somewhat.
I think that I'm guessing that probably 2 out of 3 years it's been going to the Rocket, because there's a judgment that Rocket has better circulation than the Greener Star. That's obviously debatable, but that's been the logic that's been used, right or wrong.
And then there's Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Wendling.
Yeah, and then there's been the cost of, as you can see in the packet, there's the cost issue per column is quite a difference, and that's been discussed as well in the past. So. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Any other thoughts or comments? Entertain a motion and to designate one or the other as the official newspaper for the coming year for Sweetwater County.
Chairman, I'll make a motion that we award the newspaper of record to the Rocket Miner.
We have a motion to award it to the Rocket Miner. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Now we'll try the board appointments. First we have the weed and pest. And what we have is the 4-year term, and it's due to expiring terms of John Iomoni, Randy Lauder, and Travis Baker, and eligible for reappointment. Must have a petition completed per state statute WS 11-5-104D, which they have done, and all 3 of them are eligible and desire to be reappointed. We did not receive any new applicants. So what's your pleasure, Commissioners?
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Wendling.
I'll make a motion that we appoint John Iomoni, Randy Lauder, and Travis Baker to the Sweetwater County Weed and Pest Board.
We have a motion by Commissioner Wendling. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Lloyd. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next, we have the events complex. And here we have 5-year terms due to the expiring terms of Charles Barnum and Rob Zotti. And the eligibility for reappointment and trustee may be appointed for successive terms, no statutory limits. Rob Zotti has indicated he would like to be reappointed, and we did not receive anything from Charles Barnum. And we have several very good applicants for that appointment. Mr. Iomoni again, Richard Baxter, Michael Newman, Julio Delgadillo, Elsa Robbins, Island Richards, Clark Robinson, Caleb McDonald, and there was a letter on your desk this morning from Paul Zancanella as he wants to be considered. Paul has served on many prior boards and has had a hiatus for, I think, a couple of years. So we're very fortunate to have some good applicants. So what's your pleasure, Commissioners? We could take the reappointment first if you would like.
Yeah,
Commissioner Wendling.
all right. Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we reappoint Rob Zotti to the Sweetwater County Events Complex Board.
We have a motion to reappoint Rob Zotti to the board. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Lloyd, motion by Commissioner Wendling. Any further discussion on Rob? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Now we have new applicants. These applications have been on file for 2 years in order of the oldest to the newest. So you've had a chance to review those. I think we should have some discussion on that before we have a motion. So. Mr. Windley?
Yeah, I'm looking through the list and everything. Is there any way we can move some of these to some other areas where we're vacant board members? Because I know we have some that we've been looking forward to. That'd be my first request. But
Well, I think it's very obvious why people want to get on this board.
Yeah.
It's Larry Lloyd's the problem, and they want to get on this board and have some control over him. So that's the only thing I can say.
I think you're exactly right. I think we need someone with a strong whip. So. Oh, good morning, Mr. Lloyd.
Well, I thought I didn't see it out there, Larry. I'm sorry.
Can we re-record what just took place? Anyhow, now I looked through the list, and there's some great people that have applied, along with Jim Zancanella, Kayla McDaniel, and also Mike Newman. First off, when I looked through the list, those are my three top choices.
Absolutely.
So I'd leave it at that point, at this point in time, of my three top choices, and see what anybody else is doing.
I think we need to hear from all of us.
Yeah.
Go
I
ahead.
would concur. I'm looking at the folks, I know Mr. Newman has been active in the 4-H ranks for years, and I think his knowledge of 4-H would be phenomenal. Also, I know Mr. Zancanella served multiple terms up until recent on the commissioner, on the board, and was successful. But I also think Kayla McDonald's knowledge in economic development could be an interesting fit also. So I see all three of those guys as potential, the strongest potential candidates.
Mr. Smith.
Is it appropriate to have opinion from Mr. Wood?
If no, we can do that if you like. We normally wouldn't do that, but
I don't know all of these people. I know some of them, but I don't know all of them. So
well,
I'm looking
I'm
for
the same.
information.
Let me ask Larry. It may be inappropriate for you to say too much, Larry, on it, but I know you feel strongly about probably someone over others. Would you like to reach out and tell us who you think would be people you'd like to see on that board?
Well, I think that all three of those candidates you mentioned would be excellent. I will tell you that we're going into a very dynamic time of our existence out there, where we're recruiting a number of organizations who both have an interest in continued agricultural items. Paul was instrumental in bringing the National High School Rodeo in the first trip. We're in contract negotiations with that. Mike Newman has been involved with the events complex, and I think all three candidates would be great. My preference is to getting somebody who's had some experience in some of these negotiations that we have to go through. And I will tell you that Paul has, I always think that I have a lot of knowledge or a lot of contacts on a national basis. Paul outstrips that. People from crazy places know him, and he's instrumental in that. I think that it needs to be a wise choice on the part of the county commission and where we're headed with the events complex in the long run. So, but I think all three candidates are absolutely excellent. So how do you like that one?
I'll listen carefully.
I don't understand what he said, but that's all right.
Wait a minute.
So,
It wouldn't be the first.
so with that, we have to make a decision. I haven't spoken. I kind of would lean towards Paul Zancanella, because I know how much value he has brought to the events complex, because he's a vet, for one thing. He knows a tremendous number of people. He's highly respected. But on the other hand, we need new blood in there also. But it's up to you. So what's your pleasure? Somebody has to make a decision here. We have no assigned liaison there.
No, we can't even ask for that. So far, at either board.
Mr. Commissioner?
Commissioner Smith.
But I would move that we appoint Mr. Zancanella to the board of the Sweetwater County Defense Complex.
We have a motion to appoint Paul Zancanella to the board. Do we have a second?
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Let the record show that we have one negative vote from Commissioner Lloyd, and the other three are positive. So with that, Paul Zancanella is appointed to that board. Next, we have Parks and Rec. For this, we have Tracy Sipieg. I should be able to pronounce that, and I can't. Anyway, she moved out of state, and we have two new applicants for that position, and they are Danielle Schumacher and Carol Lee. And so we have two applicants. So, Commissioners, what's your pleasure? Anyone have a preference? Anyone see them as one or the other stand out more than the other?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Wendling.
I did reach out to one of them because one of them sits on another board, and to find out, because she just had a new family member and been busy and that type of thing. She didn't get back to me and that type of thing to just see if she was still interested or not. So without that information, I just want to share that with the rest of the board before I Yeah, it was Danielle Schumacher. No, I'm sorry. I had just, okay.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know either.
I don't either. Commissioner Lloyd.
I know one of the two candidates kind of a little bit more about that. I think in the letters of interest, Schumacher has more information.
Yes.
That creates me to have more of a feeling that she would be a good fit. I did like the fact the other candidate, Ms. Leaves, what I think it is, was based out of Farson, and I looked at the boards this morning to see if it showed where they were from, to see if there was a disbursement of people. I just had names, and I wasn't sure what the disbursement was. I know that's not a requirement, but I think it's nice to have representation from our outside areas too. So.
Well, as I looked at them, I only could go by with the applicants, and I felt that Schumacher was had a little bit of better application than the others. It's just my views. So I entertain a motion to.
I'll make a motion.
Commissioner Lloyd.
Danielle Schumacher to the Parks and Rec Board.
We have a motion to appoint Danielle Schumacher to the board. Do we have a second?
Second?
Second by Commissioner Wendling, motion by Commissioner Lloyd. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next, we have, we are required annually to make a statement as to any conflict of interest that we might have with the financial institutions that we, as commissioners, do business with. And I'll start that off with full disclosure on, I keep my measly funds in the Rock Springs National Bank, that First Bank, and still in the process of closing my accounts with Bank of the West, but haven't got that done yet, so that's my full disclosure.
Okay. I'll go second. And I did fill in the sheet already and turned it in, but I work with Rocky Mountain Bank. Also, like yourself, haven't fully closed out the account with Bank of the West. And then also, third one I wrote down.
Sally knows where your money's
Well,
at.
it was past, it was a while back, so. It's First Bank, First Bank, it was a long time ago, but when you say possible or pass, so those
Yeah.
three, so that's where I do most of my banking.
Commissioner Lloyd.
I actually had talked to the shoemaker here, and I'm gonna have to defer this question to Commissioner Lloyd's wife. I'm sure I know where I have all the right stuff. We're worried about where we have some of our investments, but I do know we use an internet type bank for our main banking check, and I'll give that to the shoemaker as soon as I get time to Mrs. Lloyd. I always tell people I haven't had money in my pocket since September 18th of 1999. So.
Commissioner Smith.
Through business and personal, I have a number of institutions we do business with, including First Bank, RSNB, also Trona Valley Credit Union. Out of Utah, we use America First Credit Union, Golden West Credit Union, and then out of Casper and Cheyenne, we use Jonah Bank quite heavily.
And for the record, we're required also to submit that in a document, which I think most of us have done. So with that, we're way ahead of schedule. I think it's due to the new chairmanship that we have here. So we'll take a break.
Oh, that's funny.
We'll take about 15 minutes.
Ready? I'd like to call our meeting back to order. County Treasurer Bob Slaughter has brought to our attention that there are reasons that we need to go forward with a selection of a chairman. And, what my concern was is the potential was there that we were going to have a 2-2 vote if we went forward, and I think Commissioner Lloyd saw that also, that might happen. So what we need to do is we need to go forward with that vote. So we will do that, assuming that we can.
I'd like to make a motion to untable, or do I have to make a motion, or just, I want to untable my previous motion regarding the chairman vote.
Jonathan?
Yes, that is the proper procedure.
Okay. And with you?
I'll second it.
You'll withdraw
Yes.
your second of that?
I'll second it.
So we're back to square one on the chairmanship. So what is your pleasure? I'd entertain a motion to appoint a new chairman for the coming year.
I would move that we appoint Wally Johnson as our chairman of the County Commission, Board of County Commissioners.
Thank you. We have a motion to appoint myself as the chairman for the coming year. Do we have a second?
There will be discussion. I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion.
First of all, I desire dearly to be chairman of the Board of County Commissioners, and somewhat selfish about that. And I don't get too selfish too often about anything. And, I will do what this commission wishes me to do, whether it's chairman or as a participating, supporting the chairman, whoever that may be, which in this case, Mr. Johnson's been nominated. So I will play that role, but I also will say, not out of disrespect, but more out of support and out of selfishness, I will vote no. Gentlemen, thank you.
Mr. Commissioner. We're doing this as a one-year term.
Yeah, we still have a motion on the floor, so we'll take a roll call vote on that then. Commissioner Lloyd?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson? Yes. Commissioner Winley?
Respectfully.
Respectfully. So we have a new chairman, so I appreciate that very much, and I feel strongly about my desire to continue serving on this commission. I think we've done it in prior years, since we've gone to 5 commissioners. This commission's done an outstanding job with in very many different areas, not only with the construction that we've done with the Justice Center and the renovations that we've done at the hospital, but also we have been very, very supportive of the hospital, and we think, I think at least, that we've done a great job with all the liaisons. So I want to be a key part of that for the year going on, and who knows what the future holds for any of us. So I'm happy to serve. I'm honored to serve, and I'll serve to the best of my abilities. And I thank you very much for that. So, is that all right, Rob? Are we okay now?
Yeah, and Mr. Chairman, just to give some information and light on what the critical nature of this was, we need to have the signature of the chairman of the county commission along with the new county clerk and my signature for our warrants going forward. And so to table that motion and to postpone that for 2 months could have affected potentially our payment going forward of those vendors, and we felt like it was very important that the commission understand that and then have the knowledge at least so that they could make a formal decision whether to go forward or not at this point. So that was the reason that I had brought this to their attention.
Thanks, Rob. And when you speak, we listen, especially when I'm talking about everybody's money.
That's usually about all I talk about.
So next on our agenda, is the hospital next?
Well, they were under public. They were coming in.
On public?
They were going to come in.
Okay, excuse me. I thought they were on the agenda. So with that, we are going to hear from the hospital. So please, whoever's going to speak.
All right. So I'm Tiffany Marshall, the Executive Director of the Foundation. And so we just came today to bring you our Red Tie Gala invite. Our Red Tie Gala is right around the corner on February 2nd. And ask you guys if you would like to attend and be our guests and attendees for the evening. I know Commissioner Johnson was our last year. He actually won a raffle, right?
Yes, we did.
And Commissioner Wyoming, he's usually there. He's one of our regulars, so we appreciate your guys' support, and we'd love for you, Commissioner Smith and Commissioner Lloyd, to be there as well. So I brought you guys some invitations. And then I also have a little flyer that I wanted to leave with you that basically outlines everything that the foundation has done in the past 2 years. We've invested over $350,000 worth of equipment and initiatives in our hospital. So I wanted to leave that for you guys just so that you're aware of what we're doing in conjunction with everything that the county does for our hospital and our maintenance and things like that.
Is this this Red Tie Gala, is this the one that John Cole got us in and we got that beautiful
Trophy?
trophy?
It sure is.
Do we get to give that back now, or
If you win.
we have to win to give it back?
When Tiffany's done, I'll be more than happy to speak.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure if it's a win or if it's a loss, but there it is, right there.
Yeah, we know where it's at.
Proudly displayed behind the cabinet in the corner.
Yes.
It's lovely.
And, you know, I've said
Looks
this,
cold, too.
yeah, and I've said this a few times now, but I don't think anybody really realizes how much time and energy went into making that beautiful bed pan trophy.
We have no idea.
It was hours upon hours of them picking paint colors, I hear, and trying to locate a bed pan, because we don't see paper ones now, so, we'd love to have you guys there and in attendance supporting our local movement. Do you want to add?
Here it comes.
Mr. Chairman.
The rest of the story.
Yeah, I am a little disappointed that it's not proudly displayed. I think that was part of the deal last year. It was supposed to be out for all to see, for the winners.
Yeah, I think, did John take it home?
No, I think it's,
Well, he brought it back. I don't know.
Yeah,
He was responsible.
Yeah, he was going to put a chain around it and wear it as bling. He's not here to defend himself.
no, he isn't, so it's fair game.
Okay.
At least fair game.
For the new commissioners, though, we issued a challenge to the Board of County Commissioners, our hospital board did, to each put up an auction item. The winner would, whoever raised the most money, the winner would present the losers with the golden bedpan to be proudly displayed. And so the bargain wasn't completely held up in the last year, but we would like to put the same challenge out again this year and see if you all would be willing to put an auction item up, and we'll do the same and have some fun with it, raise some money, and it's all for a good cause.
And I think this competition last year helped us raise a little over $10,000 just between the two, so.
Between the two of us.
And it, I mean, it was highly anticipated. I mean, I think even at the gala, John got up on the stage and talked about the competition, and before we even started, he put like a halt to our live auctions and he talked about it. So,
Not John. He wouldn't do that.
I know, it surprised me too.
So that was really all we came for, was to invite you and ask you to set the challenge.
Well, we appreciate the invite, and we'll have to discuss the challenge and how we're going to go forward with that. Which one of the new commissioners is going to take the lead on that? So.
Okay. Because you have not picked liaisons.
No.
This may deter people from wanting to.
No, the hospital's always been number one with us, as you well know.
Well, we've mentioned it several times in our board meetings, but we do appreciate the support of the commission, especially lately. But over all the years, you all have been very supportive of the hospital, and we wouldn't be where we are today without you. So we certainly appreciate the support.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
We'll look forward to seeing you at the Red Tie Gala.
With the red tie on.
With the
Red tie?
Yes.
Tie.
And I have them for sale.
For how much?
You have red polos for.
$10 or $15.
Oh, I thought you were going to say $100 is what I thought you were going to say.
For you, $150. I'll make you do it. But,
Red polo for Doc.
yeah,
There you go.
there you go. We've had a
Or
red
red
suit
silk.
before. We had somebody wear like a red suit.
You know, you have. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting what we
If
get.
I still have my connections with the pharma company when I was high school principal, I bet I could get that
All right.
red suit, but I don't have the connections anymore.
Oh,
So,
all right.
Okay,
Well,
well,
I will leave these for you somewhere. I don't know where. Would you like them?
I'll pass them down.
Great.
Well,
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. And
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
we still think the last election, the competition might have been rigged, but we can't prove it.
We followed all of the rules, Mr. Chairman. We followed all of the rules.
No hard feelings, apparently.
I believe Ed said last night that since you guys own the bedpan, you get to set the rules this year. So
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was,
keep that in
that
mind.
was stated.
Okay.
That was stated.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
He's not here, though.
Funny early.
Yeah, we're too early again. Next, we have the Eden Valley Rural Healthcare District request for startup funding to get the new district up and running, and funding is when funding is received in November. Ron Noble is supposed to have been here. Ron's normally very punctual on that, so I think that's an important item. So we'll take another break, give him time to get. Let me look at this first. We struck him. No, we could do that. Let's do that. Let's move, Christina's here also. Christina, are you ready to handle yours?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, let's do that, Christina, under tab G.
Oh, better from this angle. Okay, so, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, Sweetwater County was awarded $44,171.85 in federal grant funding from the Wyoming Office of Homeland Security. The grant award requires no cash match and expires on June 30th, 2020. The purpose of this funding is to improve the ability of the fire department to protect the community and its assets from threats and acts of terrorism. It will be used to purchase firefighter air packs and portable lighting. The fire department protects primary critical infrastructure in the county that is vital to the local and state economy and which could be potential terrorist targets. So in the budget I provided, you can see it's approximately 6 self-contained breathing apparatus and 12-cylinder super lights for a total of that $44,171.85. Staff notes that the project will need to follow federal procurement requirements and go through the purchasing department for competitive bids. So that's my information on the grant. Mike Bernasian, our fire warden's here to answer any project concerns or questions you have.
Mike, you want to say something before we ask questions?
No, sir. Christina explained it pretty straightforward.
Okay. Questions, commissioners? Anyone have any questions?
Is there any other, is this what you desire to spend the money on? Is there something else you'd rather spend the money on, or is kind of the limitation that you have?
No, sir. Actually, Commissioner Smith, we asked for double what we received, and we were awarded 50% of our request. So it's a start, and it's a much needed item that we currently cannot and do not have for our capability.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Smith, in the grants world, there's never enough money we can receive. But there's always, the project's always initiated by the recipient, basically, so.
That's what we're working on.
My expectation will apply again.
Fair enough.
Any other questions? If not, I request a motion to approve and authorize the chairman to sign the fiscal year 2018 State Homeland Security Program Grant Agreement and point of contact information form for the fire department.
I so move.
We have a motion by Commissioner Lloyd. Do we have a second?
I'd second that.
Second by Commissioner Smith. Any further discussion?
Yes, sorry, I inadvertently forgot to mention, the signature page has a different name for
I
the
see that.
chairman, as well as the county clerk. That was generated by the state. I could not change it on my end, so you will just cross that out and write your name, so I apologize for that.
That's jet lag, I'm sure.
No, the Department of Homeland Security, he would not do it for me.
Okay. Any further discussion then? All those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Let me do this while I'm, or have you got an original
Right
there?
there,
Yeah.
original.
Yeah.
Next, we still have Mike, tab H, briefing on the 2018 fire season and department activities.
Once again, good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Mike.
Thanks for having me. Late yesterday afternoon, I sent an email out to you. I don't know if all of you received it, with some figures compiled. I was trying to get those with the packet. Could not get all the data done in time. So I brought an extra copy if you don't have one. If you want to peruse it.
I didn't get one, so
Okay.
my phone was screwed up. Thank you.
Well, I did. Anticipation.
I got one, but I can't turn it on the computer. Rotate it.
You want to unstaple it for you, Doc? Just one-handed? I got two
I got it. I got it. Thank
One
you.
elbow.
I got it. Thanks.
So, 2018 was a good fire year. Depending on your perspective, 2018 was a bad fire year, depending on your perspective. We in the fire service, we look at that both ways, for a variety of reasons. The term fire season is nationally and regionally, and I'm cautious to say maybe perhaps even locally, is behind us. Fire season, wildland fires become a year-round event. There's no doubt about it. However, in our climate, obviously our weather helps dictate and mitigate when we have those kind of fires. So Sweetwater County Fire Department, as being a primary wildland fire department, we have the luxury of having somewhat of an off-season during the winter time as we have now. There's always other types of fires that occur, but from a wildland perspective, it's a year-round event. So what I did is, come April, it'll be my hit my 4-year mark here as your county fire warden. In 2016, we got on board with the state to push for a new reporting system. When I took my position, we had no other data. There was no data available to me from what we had for fire calls or types of calls that the department ran or the county fire warden assisted with. So we've been able to use a program that the state has purchased for us over the last 2 years called emergency reporting, and it's allowed us to collect some factual data. And then I went back to my first month here and collected that data. So we have some facts to base what we're doing for you. So I just provided you a pie chart of kind of call volume. So roughly, for 2018, we were about the same in total call volume from 2017. 107 calls for 2018 compared to 108. The interesting thing here is if you notice when you go to the graphs and the spreadsheet on the second page, our fire calls have dramatically increased in 2018, while our false alarms and Good Samaritan type calls dramatically reduced in number. And that's one, our fuels, our climate, we're seeing more fire. Two, with working with dispatch and some new dispatch protocols and better communications amongst all the fire departments within the county. My goal has always been to reduce the amount of false alarms that we have to respond to. One, it's less exposure to us because driving is our greatest exposure and danger. And two, it's more efficient for us to operate when we don't have to go out to a call that is truly not warranted. So we're doing a good job, and these numbers show that. Last year, wildland fires did increase as well as a number of other fires, i.e. the push for other firefighting equipment to support those folks that come and help us in our vast area of coverage that's unincorporated in the county. So for the new commissioners, we have just over 7,000 square miles of unincorporated area of the county, and we provide wildland fire protection to that part of our county. The remainder of the county is in 2 fire districts, Sweetwater County Fire District 1 and Eden Parks and Fire District. Then you have the small departments within the towns or the city. So in the unincorporated areas, when we have a fire outside of a wildland fire, we request mutual aid from other departments to respond to that fire and take the lead, because they have the equipment, they have the training, and they have the apparatus that can engage that. Our apparatus is primarily wildland, but with the commission's support, we've been able to build a couple new fire trucks that will also support other types of fires. So we're trying to be better in supporting those who we have to call to put out fires in the county other than wildland. The other thing we're seeing is it's a trend all across the country. Number of volunteers continue to dwindle and have been for some time. It's a national epidemic in the fire service. So we've lost over 120,000 volunteer firefighters in the United States. Locally, the Wildlands Fire Arena, we don't have a lot of volunteers within our department currently. We have 5 or 6. Those volunteers actually paid what we call paid per call. So they're a PCF firefighter. We provide those folks with $25 for every call and training that comes in as an incentive. So most of our staffing is seasonally based. Last year, I'll be absolutely honest. We were tired. We had people that were exhausted. We had a long fire season. We had fires that started in February, increased in March, and ran all the way through November. So towards the end of the year, we had people ready to take some time off. So as the numbers show, it's not just all wildland, but it's other types of fires, but obviously primarily wildland. So to give you some other information, and I don't want to just throw numbers at you today, that's not really why I'm here. I want to kind of paint a picture of what we did. And going through my notes, of most significance was obviously the Laney Rim Fire. So the Laney Rim Fire is a large wildland fire in the county. It was 13,000 acres. It had a cost, a suppression cost, that has not been finalized yet. And with the government shutdown, we probably won't have that till spring for those federal numbers. I can tell you it's estimated at $1.3 million. That fire started on BLM land. We had only 160 acres of private. We worked with a cost share agreement based on acreage. The BLM has graciously, as they have done for quite some time, through good partnership and relations with them, picked up the majority of the cost of that fire. We will be billed 1% of that cost based on acreage of the fire. However, that's then weighed against our ability and what we provided to the fire. So we put forth about $15,000 in apparatus and another several $1,000s in personnel, and that'll be weighed against what we would owe. So we could owe up to $3,000 to $5,000, and we can get that money back. So that's the largest wildland fire we've had since I've been here in 4 years. The second largest fire was the Black Butte Fire. Black Butte Fire burned an estimated 3,000, maybe even up to 5,000 acres. That occurred in Fire District number 1's jurisdiction up by the Black Butte coal mine. So I don't have real good numbers for that. That was the second largest fire. Prior to this last year, we had the Bitter Creek Fire, which just burned a couple thousand acres. And we did have some costs involved. $18,000 that we paid for suppression costs for that fire. So Laney Rim is significantly larger. The one thing to note is there were 4 fires that we were not able to respond to this year. We ran out of people. The BLM was out of people. We were all tied up with a lightning bus, which is what started Laney Rim. And we were unable to respond to 4 fires. One of those 4 fires did get away and go 300 acres and took 4 days to put out. Luckily for us, that fire started on BLM land and was a BLM managed fire. So we had to wait to get additional resources from across the state to come into the county to send to that fire. And the BLM took the lead on that fire. We did support that fire at a later time, but it took us probably 2 days to get freed up with enough, actually a person, to support them with some water from our new water tank. That's kind of the highlights of what we ran into last year. Lots of initial attack. Nationally, 97% of all wildland fires are extinguished within the first day, what we call initial attack. Only 3% become mega fires, large fires. Unfortunately, we're seeing what we call mega fires, big fires. All the fires in California, Oregon, the Pacific Northwest, the Northern Rockies, and other parts of Wyoming are experiencing those types of fires. We've been able to play a good role, a good neighbor role, in responding to 6 fires out of county during 2018. And Roosevelt, obviously, was probably the most significant. That was the fire in Sublette County that lost 55 homes. We were able to provide some response to that in a very expeditious way, as well as other fires over in Platte County, Laramie County, south of the border. We were able to work with a fire that was just south of our state line and help keep that fire from coming into our county. So that was a success for us. And really, TJ, our Deputy County Fire Warden, really deserves all the credit for that. From initial attack to coordinating with Vernal Dispatch and our other partners and getting the help we need to fill a void in resources for that fire. So again, that was a success for us. We had some firsts last year. We developed a rapport, the County Fire Department, with the American Red Cross. Spencer Pollock is the regional director, also a volunteer firefighter in Laramie County. He's a good friend of mine. Over the past years, we've developed quite the relationship. They started a smoke detector campaign, and we brought that campaign into Sweetwater County this year. And working with the other fire departments in the county, specifically Rock Springs Fire and Fire District 1, we were able to install over 200 smoke detectors in homes at no cost to the public. So that was not just giving them away, that was actually going out and physically installing them where they need to be and the number that they needed for that home or dwelling. So that was a really positive experience for us. We led the way and put out our first landfill fire for the town of Manila down in Daggett County, which was quite an experience dealing with a landfill fire. They just did not have the apparatus or manpower to deal with that. So we were able to respond and take the lead, and Green River Fire Department played a big role with that and deserves a lot of credit for supporting us in that effort, as well as the Granger Fire Department. So Granger really stepped up and supported us, especially with foam that it takes to put out such type of fire. The other first is working with the City of Rock Springs. The City of Rock Springs wanted to start a wildland program 2 years ago. They came to a couple of the other departments and asked if they would be willing to help. We stepped up and took the lead for that. And we worked with the City of Rock Springs Fire in developing a wildland response program with their wildland truck. And this year we finished the training classes for them, worked with them on their task books, and they were able to actually go out and assist on 4 fires outside of this county on a national response basis, and make a difference, as well as becoming another asset for us. So that's a huge win-win. And they are willing to work outside of the city. We've developed an agreement with them. We always have had a mutual aid agreement, but it allows them to help us in a role they've never been able to before. So that was another first for us. So it was a really positive experience. It's something I'm very excited to have, and hope we can do more with that. Excuse me. 4th of July. 4th of July is always a challenge. I've already briefed you all on the 4th of July. But just know the 4th of July, we never have enough people. We don't have enough resources, and it gets pretty crazy. So, but we had a safe 4th of July, and that's how I base that. So it was good. Finally, a couple closing things to talk about. It took a big impact on our budget. So a majority of my 97% of our equipment maintenance budget has already been spent. We had a lot of little things. We went through a lot of tires this year, unfortunately. The Roosevelt fire took a pretty big hit on our equipment because we were fighting fire below freezing temperatures. Fire doesn't care how cold it is outside, it still likes to burn. And when you wake up in the morning and it's 5 degrees below zero, and it might get to the freezing mark during the day, we froze up a pump, we broke and crashed valves and some plumbing, we damaged some other pieces of equipment, so it's taken its toll. So fuel, we spent a large amount of fuel this year just in the amount of driving we've had to do for the amount of fires that we've had within the county. One last thing is, because of our annual operating plan, which I'll be bringing forth this spring again, we're able to recoup costs and bill for those fires that we go out of the county for through the national dispatch system. We brought in all the fires that we bill for have been paid. As I checked yesterday, so we generated $95,000 in revenue that came back into the county. Roughly $50,000 of that was a reimbursement, and direct reimbursement, dollar for dollar, of payroll, including all the insurance costs and workers' comp associated with that, came back into the county. Roughly $5,000 was reimbursed for travel expenses, and $40,000 was actually generated in the use of equipment. So we charge an hourly rate for our equipment based on the state's pay process. So, and that's kind of an overview of what we had going on for the 2018 fire year. I never predict what fire year is going to be the next year or how things are going to look. But I can tell you that last year, when people asked me, I said, well, I never predicted, but I can tell you this. Even years following wet springs are always big fire years. And last year was a great example of that. What 2019 will hold, I do not know. But I do know this. We need to look at how we're doing business. We can't stretch our folks to the level that we get. We gotta find a better way of supporting our folks and managing our fires. And we rely heavily on other departments to help us in the county, and they're the same way. They're being stretched. And luckily for us, they have better numbers than we do. So they have more personnel. But they also have to take care of their primary jurisdiction. I can also tell you that BLM was never fully staffed last year. They had vacancies in positions throughout the entire year. So recruitment is big. It's really big. We've got to have a reason to bring people here. In the wildland arena nationally, we're down in numbers. We're down in helicopters. We're down in aircraft. We're down in hand crews. And the Forest Service, I'm sure you all know, the Forest Service spent $22 billion in fire suppression last year. And they can't continue to do business the way they've been doing business. So we've got to be proactive as best we can. And we've been doing a great job in where we are. And I'm excited for what the future holds, and proud of what we've accomplished. And especially appreciate the support that this board has given us through my short tenure here so far. So that's the end of my report, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. I'd just like to follow up and make a comment on, and I've said it before, we've said it for years here. There's got to be a better way, and there is a better way. And we're on record as saying there's a better way, especially in our national force. The president comes to California and he would say something about it. We've got to remove the fuel load out of our force, and we're not doing it. The beetle-killed trees need to be removed from the forest before they burn. We should incent the logging industry to take those trees out by giving those trees to them. What they tell me when I bring that up, well, we have timber sales. Well, the logging industry is not going to buy those dead trees. You know, there's got to be some incentive to do it. Over half the budgets for years now of the Forest Service has been expended on fighting forest fires. It just doesn't make sense. But they still have done nothing about it, Mike. We have been also vocal, and I think we're going to have some success on Pine Mountain and Little Mountain, because we've got dead trees on top of those mountains, primarily on Little Mountain. But what they're doing there is they're thinning the junipers on the sides of Little Mountain. They're never going to burn. They're never going to burn. There's no real benefit to that, in my opinion. Those monies should be spent on the tops of Little Mountain and Pine Mountain to get rid of that dead timber. It just isn't happening. I applaud you for what you're doing, and I'm disappointed because your predecessor told me he could tell me when we were going to have a bad fire season. and you can't do it. I don't know what's going on.
Well, I can tell you this. This has become my philosophy. As I go out and work with national incident management teams at the highest level that this nation has, I've been tasked with protecting hundreds and hundreds of homes from wildfire. We do that through triage. We categorize those homes on survivability, red, green, or yellow, to be simple about it. And I've learned that I no longer use yellow. And if I say a house is green, it means it's standalone and can survive a wildfire. I just say they're all red. So if they don't burn, then we're still a winner. Yeah. So to that effect, I will say I forgot one thing. Our relationship with Parks and Rec is another success story for us. We have done a lot with them in bringing down hazard trees, and the work and the fuel loading that we're doing within the county, especially Pioneer Trails, which has been overgrown for such a long time. We continue to work out there in our off time. Many people say, well, what do you do all day when you're not on fire? Well, if we're not training, we're out doing project work. Our project work is fuel reduction. The other thing that we've started discussions with, Mr. Chairman, that I failed to recognize, is we already have started a conversation with State Forestry and their land on Little Mountain, and allowing us to work with them on their land for fuel reduction projects as well.
The other thing I'd also like to compliment you what you've done with your facility there. You've done a great job there. It looks 100% better than it did when you first came on board. You and your people, you've done it at a very limited cost too, so appreciate that.
I look forward to a new facility someday.
You look, well, I'll tell you, I won't say too much about that, but that's one of the reasons that I want to be this chairman of this, because I have my vision as to where we should go with our facilities. We've got a committee that's working on that. They're doing a great job. We'll see what we do.
Any questions for me?
What's the weather going to be like?
It's cold and sunny till about 5 o'clock.
I know it.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks. I got
Sure,
Mr.
go
Chairman.
ahead.
Go ahead. I'll wait.
Just out of curiosity, the wildfires that do start, are we seeing natural causes, human causes? Is there a change over your career that you've seen, or is it kind of year by year?
Commissioner Smith, one of the things that I'm working on is statistics from the reporting system of cause of our fires. I've got 15 and 16 done. I'm still having to go in and actually pull the data out manually for 17 and 18 so that I have true hard numbers so we can actually look at what is causing our fires. I can tell you from my general opinion, most of the fires that we have within the unincorporated areas of Sweetwater County are natural and unintentional. Natural lightning, unintentional from road work, rail work, highway fire that leads onto the wildland, vehicles that break down, a lot of overheating of semis, a lot of semi fires. We have a lot of those are unintentional. We have very few, in my opinion, in the unincorporated area, of human-caused fires, outright human-caused, outside of the 4th of July. And that's why I have yet to really want to go into a discussion with this body or even our partners about a fire ban, because I'm not sure that we really would benefit from such a thing. At least not to this point we have not benefited if we were to have implemented it. But generally speaking, the majority of our fires are unintentional. That's a great question.
Doc?
Mr. Chairman, Mike, I know the $95,000 has been reimbursed back to us, goes back to the general fund, not your budget. That's correct?
Correct.
Very good. And of course, all the expenses that came out for that did come out of your budget, and that's what's reducing your budget by so much, if I'm understanding that correctly.
That's correct. So it still comes out of my line item budget, and the revenues that we receive back do not come back in the budget.
And I'm glad we're in a position we talked about your MOUs and that. Are all of them in place now so that we can, good neighborly support?
There's one that we just got Manila last year.
Yeah.
At the beginning of last year, we got the mutual aid agreement with the town of Manila, because we have a lot of homes down there on in that area, the Kinman area. They're quite a ways to go. The one MOU that I have not been able to secure or even start the dialogue in a productive way yet is with Moffett County, Colorado. That's the one that I need to close the loop on. If we can get Moffett on board and get an agreement, we have all of our neighbors, the board of this county.
If they, not only us supporting them, but them supporting us as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And then one other thing you failed to mention, and I know you will update the commission at a later time when you have all the facts and figures, because I know you're working with Christina on that. I'd like to say congratulations on facilitating a successful Rural Firefighters Association conference here in Rock Springs this last December. I thought it went very well. I thought the presenters and programs that were brought in were exceptional, but Mega Fires and the professor out of Washington that facilitated that was unbelievable. And the one message that I just sticks in my head that I hear more than anything is there may be a reduction in the number of fires, but what's going up is the size of fires. We're going to have maybe less fires, but those fires we have are going to start being in that arena of mega fires. Is that pretty accurate?
That's correct. So for 2018, nationally, there were 2,400 less wildfires in the country, but we burned an additional 2 million acres, and that was the trend for the year before as well.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr.
Any
Good
other
job.
Questions, comments? Thanks, Mike. You do a great job.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Next, right on time, Ron Noble is here. A minute or two early. Appreciate that, Ron. Come forward. Ron, he lives in the Farson Eden area now, but Ron was a long-time employee of the county, one of the better employees we've ever had. Appreciate that, Ron.
Thank you, Ron.
First of all, congratulations on all your positions and the election. Chairman Johnson, members of the commission. I'm here representing Eden Valley Rural Health District, newly formed, I don't know if we need to stand.
Whatever you want.
A newly formed district. It was voted on last election successfully, actually more successfully than I expected. We're ready to get going, and originally we all of our members had agreed to pay for our own expenses until funding come to us, which will start sometime in November of 19, and then reimburse it back to us, keeping good receipts. After consulting with an attorney, he doesn't like that idea of us writing checks back to board members from taxpayers' money. It just may not look that well, even though good records are being taken. So he suggested that we approach you to look for some bridge money. None of us have a problem when the money comes back, paying the money back. We just need to get a bank account opened up, pay legal fees. Naturally, it comes from an attorney wanting to pay any fees. Just pay the bonding for the 5 of us is right at $1,100. So, and not like I said, none of us have a problem with paying for it back up front, but then writing us a check back may not look very good. And also, we will be having a professional bookkeeper keep track of everything. We want to keep all of the I's dotted and the T's crossed, so we don't get into a fine with the taxpayer money. Become as frugal with taxpayer money as anybody. So I want to make sure it's all evened out, and like I said, we will pay that back as it starts to come into it. I don't even have a problem making sure it gets back to you before, or to the county before we start issuing money to the clinic. I realize the clinic approached you sometime in July or August and was fronted
I think $50,000 to keep them afloat until money started coming in. It's been suggested to us to go to them for it, but we feel that we don't want anybody to have a thumb hold on us by money that we borrowed from them, especially if it's to come back. So that's why we're here asking for the possibility for some bridge money to get us through until that money starts to come.
Couple of questions. First, Rob, is he right about November is when those funds would be available?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. With the passage of the Rural Health Care District, they will be presenting their budget as we do with the county over the next few months. So they will present a levy at that point in time. When the budget is approved, Assessor Davis just went and checked to see how much money will be available to them. And based on the valuation that they've got at this point in time, based on the number of mills, each mill that they create will raise about $78,000. By statute, they can levy 2 mills, and then they can go out for an additional 2 mills. I don't know what they're preparing to do at that point in time. But we will send the tax bills out on that September 1st, and then we will actually start receiving payments on those immediately. But I think what Ron is referring to is the large payments that come in typically from the mineral industry come in 2 installments. The large payments on that first half will come in November. So we'll be receiving that money prior to the 10th of November. And we typically distribute that money then that 3rd Thursday in November. So that would be the first payment that they've got. If I could, Mr. Chairman, too, one other thing that I was thinking when I looked at this, I know at different times our auditors have looked at different things that we've done as far as loans go and have looked negatively upon that. I know that in instances like this in the past, entities, specifically the events complex, has done a lot of work with tax anticipation notes. And I don't know if they had talked about potentially doing that, but it might be another option for the district to look at doing something like that with the knowledge that there is going to be that tax money coming in and what that basis is. So it might give them another option or something for you to look at with potential on that also.
Thanks, Rob. Do you understand what the events complex have done with that?
I'm not aware of that. I've talked pretty extensively with Rosemary Lant. I think everybody's aware of what she did for Guam Center. And she informed me that if this doesn't come through, that there's some other avenues that she could steer me to look forward to. That's kind of where our attorneys we acquired Steve Palmer, and this is the avenue he suggested we started with first, looking for some bridge money, and then if it doesn't work, we'll look for something else. We received our bill on our bonding, and we're just holding them off to see how we're going to do it today. And I'm 25 days today. So.
Well, we have also advanced money to the events complex in the past as a loan, and that's what Rob's talking about. And they did pay us, so it worked out all right. This is a little bit different than the events complex, I think. But Jonathan, do you have an opinion as to whether it can be done?
I'm familiar with what you're talking about, and that I have the same understanding, less so, because I wasn't here when that took place, so that's the only understanding that I have is based on that event. And when the auditors were here, I understood that it was something that can be done as well.
So in your opinion, we could advance them the $10,000 with the understanding it gets paid back?
Yes.
As soon as they get start receiving them.
The only other thing that I would add, because I think that in my opinion it can be done, and I think we can certainly verify that, but and that's based primarily on your experience, Rob's experience, but I can also tell the commission and the chairman that I have noticed on the bond, you mentioned the bonds, that a lot of the bonds are they're higher than they need to be, and that's something that I think that could be looked at across the board, and I think with them in particular, and talk with their attorney and see if that's something that could be adjusted. If they haven't already, I'd assume they already had them all, but they could potentially be reduced. That's a potential spot for reduction.
Rob, do you have an opinion on that?
Mr. Chairman, just one other thing. If the commission did choose to award that money, another option for us on the repayment, because that money will be coming through my office, it would be very easy for us in that payment that's made in November just to take whatever that loan amount out was, if their board agreed to that also. So it would just eliminate a step, and we'd certainly be willing to do that also. It wouldn't create a problem for our office at all.
And we could do that through a memorandum of understanding if we're so inclined. Well, you've got a couple options, but let's hear the questions that the commission may have. Any questions, commissioners?
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner Wyman?
Thank you. Ron, just for clarification for me, and I understand they're two different entities, but the existence of the present health that we funded in July gave $50,000 to the clinic. What's going to be the difference based on this district, what they're doing?
The clinic will have to come to the district, which is us now, with applying for grants, showing us line item budget as to what they'll receive, and we'll go through that and determine what they can collect from us. So now, instead of them coming and asking you guys for money, they'll be coming to the district.
Very good. Thank
So
you.
hopefully that'll. I have a lot of expectations to see what we can do to get it a better place.
Okay.
And all of our board members are on the same page as I am, and so we just want to keep everything in line there.
Then on final comment, Mr. Chairman, congratulations to you and the other individuals that were elected as board members, stepping up and running for that position. Huh?
I just retired from a full-time job, volunteer for it.
But anyhow, congratulations.
Doubled your
Thank
pay,
you.
didn't you?
No, that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner?
Mr. Chairman, is there a reason, just, and I'm new to this, I'm thinking this out, but is there a reason that you couldn't just give the $10,000 without expectation of repayments in good faith? Sounds like we will be off the hook for anyway going else to the company, going to them instead of to us as a county in the future?
Well, this is new. You know, normally they've come to us every year, not necessarily the district. The clinic has come to us for funding. I don't know if they could come to us during the budgeting process and request that, but I think your needs are immediate.
Yes.
And I think for us to, could we make some kind of an amendment to the budget and just provide them with the $10,000?
I think that's within the discretion of the commission.
Bonnie, do you have an opinion?
We would have to do a budget amendment
Yeah.
at the public hearing.
With a public hearing?
With a public hearing, correct.
And how about the accounting for that $10,000? How would you do that?
I would just account for it as an outside agency, and it would just like any other outside agency, we would just do a budget amendment for the amount that they wanted and have the public hearing. So it was approved, we could disperse those funds.
Well, it's consistent with what Commissioner Lloyd's said, is that we need to keep track of, we got people that live outside of the major towns, cities and towns, and I think that's what Commissioner Smith is getting at too. $10,000 is relatively insignificant. I just might say that because we're talking about somebody else's money, I guess.
Well, I agree. That would be really remarkable if that could happen. But, I understand it's the taxpayers paying the bill on that. I don't want anybody cheating.
Yeah, sure, your taxpayer. Excuse me.
Again, it sounds as though we're going to be paying less because of this formation of this district. Here's one more payment. That sounds like a great deal to me.
Honestly, I guess if I would have realized that we would have needed this, I would have approached it sooner, but we was all in good faith to take care of it ourselves, not realizing that would not look good under the legal staff or I probably could have been here prior to, in the budget period.
Well, I think whatever the majority of the commission thinks, I think that possibly could be done. Doc, yeah,
Another
Paul?
question. Rob, money available if over $10,000?
I could probably come up with that if we had to, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Whaley.
Just want to make sure. It's not like $1 million, but.
No, it's much easier to come up with 10,000.
Doesn't hurt to check with you.
And I appreciate being asked. It certainly makes a difference.
I shouldn't say this, but that's like asking Scrooge.
Somebody's got to be it, you know.
Just a clarification for Commissioner Johnson, Chairman Johnson, is if we were to do it a $10,000 loan, we could give that more immediate, but if we were to do it as just a $10,000 additional, that would be a longer time period, correct, because of the public hearing and such.
Well, she
Before
could,
they proceed.
well, I think the quickest way is, we'd still have to prepare a memorandum of understanding, but the quicker way to do it, we could have that done by the next meeting.
The budget
Budget
amendment could be done
amendment.
at the next meeting, and the funds could be dispersed after.
And I share Commissioner Smith's opinion. I think it's clean, it's done, and you're obviously going to be in much better shape financially than you've ever been up there. And I think that's good. That's why the prior commission did what they did, is to help you people up there do what you need to do with healthcare. Any other comments?
I agree.
I'd entertain a motion then to direct the clerk's office to prepare a budget amendment for $10,000 for the Farson Eden Healthcare.
Eden Valley
Rural Health Care for the next meeting in the amount of $10,000. If somebody's so inclined to make that motion.
I would make that motion, yes.
Do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Unanimous. Thanks, Ron.
Thanks, Ron.
Thanks for you complain about the roads up there now, or?
I don't complain about it at all.
No, you don't?
In fact, I do talk quite extensively. He calls me a lot, asks me things to do, and I try to steer him in the right way. I think he's in for a surprise this winter if we get one more storm.
Thank you, Ron. Happy New Year.
Yeah, thanks,
Same to you
Ron.
all. Thanks so much.
Next, we have request to restaff vacant position in the detention center. Mr. Love and Mr. McLean. How you doing? Maybe what we should do is we start, obviously you've made some changes in your organization over there, or what you're doing. Would you like to fill us in as to what you've done?
We're having a meeting after this, the reorganization of the insurance.
So you want to save it?
Yes.
Don't want to go public? Don't want to go public?
No public.
Okay, go ahead, Gary.
Mr. Chairman, County Commissioners, got a simple, straightforward, I think, matter in front of the board today. We have a vacancy in the nursing position within the detention center. As you know, the RNs provide direct medical evaluation of the up to 211 inmates that could be incarcerated there, initial medical intake as well as the day-to-day coordination of their health care with the hospital providers. This is a significant source of liability, so I know this is an important issue for the sheriff to replace. In your packet is a request to restaff vacant form that provides the cost summary of those position, depending upon whether there's any lateral entry and whether or not the health insurance costs are family or single, but otherwise it's a direct replacement for the outlook position.
What you're saying is basically it's in a budget position.
Budgeted position and just replacing, shouldn't see any significant budget changes.
Any questions, commissioners? No?
Please, Mr. Chairman. Gary, how many nurses are there?
There's three current nurses.
Three current nurses.
Three current positions.
Three current positions. And did we just replace the nurse's position? Is this the one? Oh, different one.
This is one.
So we're not having any trouble keeping them?
This position, she went and got her nurse practitioner's license, so she's moving on to bigger, better. She does not want to leave.
Doesn't want to leave, but because of pay and that type of thing. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, commissioners? If not,
I'll just take this moment to say, congratulations, Sheriff Grossnickel, for your election. It was good to, hope your first 2 days in office have been good, and at least we can make you our first decision working with you potentially positive. So.
any other comments? Okay, I'd entertain a motion to approve the request to fill a nursing position.
To request,
Okay.
to grant permission to restaff the current vacant position at the detention center.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Lloyd, second by Commissioner Windling. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. And again, good luck. Hope everything works out well.
Good luck. Good luck this afternoon.
Yeah, good luck whenever, Jerry.
While you're signing that, I have another thing I'd like to just mention.
Sure, go ahead.
Please, Mr. Chairman. I'm sure you may be aware of it or not, but the Joint Communications Board did hire an executive, and he started yesterday, and that's Rick Hawkins, who was formerly with the Sheriff's Department.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's what I was trying to get him to say, but that.
Well, I thought I'd wait till he had his chance.
Didn't work.
But I think we should know that.
Yeah.
And thank Jim Walmsley for filling in that position until they could find a replacement for Robin. So, but anyhow, just that's all I wanted to mention.
Okay, any other comments on that? Next on our agenda is the anything other. Are there any other issues other than what we just heard? We get away with that. That was the adjustment to the agenda. But thank you for trying to keep me straight, because I need that help. Do we have any issues for executive session, commissioners? Okay, with that, I think we've concluded our business for the day. We stand adjourned.
Good job, gentlemen.
That's good.
It's pretty close, man.